Hey everybody, it's me, your buddy Dave from thedarkstuff.com and the Dark Stuff channel here on YouTube. Thanks a lot for checking out my latest video. So this week, we are doing a vinyl pickups. I picked up a bunch of good stuff, seeing bands live, mail order, going to record stores. I've got it all coming up right after this. I'm going to start off with this compilation here called The Best of Dope Folks Records. I'm 95% sure I haven't showed this before, but Dope Folks is a label from Milwaukee, and it is run by an old friend of mine, full disclosure, Chris Schulis. I've known the guy since the 90s. We used to work together at a record store called The Exclusive Company in Wisconsin, and he was always, in addition to knowing everything about all sorts of great indie rock and punk and garage, whatever, he was the go-to guy on hip-hop back then because he knew every single artist. Well, now, over the last 10, 15 years or so, he has turned it into a full-fledged label, and Dope Folks releases obscure, out-of-print, never released hip-hop from the golden age, in my opinion, of rap in the 90s. So it's bands that you might not have ever heard of: Lord Aquil, Divine Beings, Rock La Flow, Legion of Doom, MC E-Rock. Okay, so you're going, I don't know who any of those guys are. Fine, okay? I did our monthly record night with me and some of my friends, and we get together and we all, bring records. When I threw this on, it got unanimous. Everybody in the entire, in our little group was into it, took pictures of it to mail order it. It was that good. Comes on this kind of, but it's looking to me like banana, or no, maybe it's orange. I'm not sure if that's yellow or orange. I actually have an issue with colors, but I don't know whether how well distributed their stuff is. I do know that they do a pretty good mail order business, and the link to their record store is going to be down below. All right, the first up is this double EP from SPITZ. It's Teeth on one side and The Revenge of Angeline on the other side. It is the band's only two releases thus far. I picked it up at the show when I saw them open for Amyl and the Sniffers, and truth be told, I liked them better, and I've become borderline obsessed with this band in the last 2 weeks since I saw that show. I probably watched them live, about 15 different videos that I found online. Learned a lot more about them, like for the example that 3 of them play drums. They can all rotate and do different instruments, which they didn't really do at the show that I saw. It's a side note, whatever. I love the bass player. She's so cool. She has this bass that's probably 95% of her height, like it's gigantic, but she storms around on stage and always puts one leg up on a monitor or a chair, just has this presence of just staring dudes down in the crowd. It's pretty cool. And I bought this record from her, actually, just by coincidence. But so I've been loving the record. I like the songs on both albums. This one is sonically way better, though. It sounds much, much better. This one's got kind of dingier production. You can tell it's an early recording from a band. This one, though, sounds a lot more fully formed. The band's sound, like I said in my other video where I talked about their concert, is very early 90s grunge. It's like Nirvana, Bleach, Hole, Pretty on the Inside, okay, the first album, the really heavier album, Babes in Toyland, Calamity Jane, Bikini Kill, groups like that. All the stuff that was my favorite in the early 90s. I loved that period of music, and I loved all those bands. And so I love these guys too, but they also mix it in with a little bit more hard rock and metal than you would get from those bands. So it's a very, very potent mix. The only knock on the record is that it's kind of cheaply put together. I mean, the seams don't line up on the back. Minor, okay, I know, but there's no credits. There's no credits whatsoever. There's nothing. And I'm a credits guy. I want to know who did what. I want to know who played what, who writes what, who sings. I mean, there's 3 singers. I'd like to know who does what. It's kind of hard when you just don't know to cue in on who's doing what. I would like that. I'd also like to know who produced this second one, because that person did a much, much better job. This next one is Ratboys, The Window. This is the Chicago band's newest album. This is amazing cover art. Check this out. Okay, it's like die cut with these like pictures of, looks like Polaroids, and you can pull them in and out and stuff. It's awesome. Now the collection itself, the music is really, really good. So I was playing the song It's Alive from the album on my radio show, and truth be told, I was only sent that one song, okay, from their label, or the promoter that they hired. The label is called Top Shelf Records. I get to the show and I go up to Julia Steiner, I think is her name. She's the singer guitar player in the band. She was behind the merch table. We start chatting and stuff. I tell her that I'm on the radio and that I've been playing the song It's Alive on my show the last couple of weeks, but that's the only song they sent me, and that's the only song I know, you know. And she's like, well, we got a bunch of other ones, you know, we'll play her playing almost the entire album tonight. I was like, okay, great. So then during the show, they come on, and they were really, really good. And right as they're about to play the song It's Alive, she says, this one's dedicated to Dave from the radio. I was like, oh, that's fucking awesome. Like, that was so cool. So anyways, totally unnecessary, but appreciated. So after the show, I ran over, bought the record, and I have been very, very happy since then. And I did a little Side One spotlight on it on my show last week. So there you go. Okay, next up is Weekend Friends, Quitter. I did show this in a video a couple weeks ago where I talked about their concert and showed some live clips. I've now listened, and I got the record signed by them, by the way. Here's the inside. I don't think I showed that before. Vinyl's black vinyl. Great indie rock band from Portland, Maine. I hadn't listened to the record back then. I'd only seen the show. Show was great. Record's great, pretty much what I kind of expected. It's good 90s inspired indie rock with a woman singer. It does have a little bit more of a 2000s kind of emo flair than I was expecting, but not completely unheard of considering I did see the band live. I know a lot of people get really caught up on Grails and stuff like that, and I get it, you know. I don't really have any Grails. I don't have anything that I'm absolutely, that I just would pay anything for or am constantly on the lookout for. But there is one little thing that I was kind of hoping to find at one point, and that is this. This is the first Kiss album, and it's very damaged here on the front. Okay, now you're probably going, Dave, you've done videos about this album. You know, I have multiple copies of it. I've got a repress of it signed by Ace Frehley hanging up on my wall. I have a lot of copies of this record. But I was over at 402 Vinyl, a store here in town, Bellevue, close by. And I take a look at this, and I'm like, okay, I just want to see if this is the right one. It was. This is the first pressing of the record, which is missing a track. The song Kissing Time, which is supposed to be the first song on side 2 as the album as I've always known it, was added later on by the record company. Wanted them to do it to tie in with some dumb kissing contest promotions that the label was doing to try to hype up Kiss back in 1974. So the original version is minus that song, and I've never had a version that didn't have it. So instantly I see this, I scour it, doesn't have the track, I pull out the vinyl, doesn't have the track, I'm putting it aside and I'm saying nothing. Because it was priced at $20, and according to Discogs, that's on the low side, but it does have damage, okay. So I go about my business, I pick up the rest of my records, I walk out, and as soon as I leave, I show to my friend, I'm like, oh dude, look what I got, and then we were both just kind of like, oh man, what a score. So look, I'm really happy. I don't even care whether the vinyl plays or how dirty, it makes no difference. I have a copy of the first Kiss record without Kissing Time. This is the first pressing. Let's run through the rest of what I got at 402 Vinyl, and I got this cool Blue Öyster Cult picture sleeve for Shooting Shark and Dragon Lady. Both cuts off the what I view as an underrated B.O.C. album, The Revolution by Night. And you can tell it was in a jukebox because there's a little jukebox card from where it was at. It does have some writing on the back and whatever, but I don't know. I don't really collect Blue Öyster Cult 7 inches, but I thought this was kind of cool, so I grabbed it. Grab almost anything Bangles that I see out in the wild because I see so little of it. Here's a Hazy Shade of Winter 12-inch, which I've never seen before, from the Less Than Zero album. Has 4 different versions of the song. Okay, I didn't even know there were 4 versions. It's got the Purple Haze mix, the 7-inch dub mix, the 7-inch version, and then the Shady Haze version from the Bangles, their famous cover of the Simon and Garfunkel song, which I view as them basically reinventing it because they don't bear a ton of similarities. The Bangles really did kind of remake it as their own, but you know what? That's a side note. And the last thing I'm going to show you is this record, Sonic Sunspot, from the Dukes of Stratosphear. Don't know if you know this or not, but the Dukes of Stratosphear is basically XTC under another name, and there was a point in the mid-'80s where they started doing this little side thing of doing like a late 60s kind of psychedelic pop band to sort of, I don't know, I think kind of ease the stress of all the drama that was going on with them, the records they were making at the time, like the Big Express and stuff, which I didn't even think was very good. But anyways, for a time, the Dukes of Stratosphear, they were trying to pretend it wasn't XTC, but everyone knew, was selling better than XTC was. And that's kind of why it stopped, because eventually the guys were sort of like, look, this is supposed to be our side project, and now it's doing better, so they just sort of ended it. They did 2 records, an EP and an album, and I've always seen them combined on one CD called Chips from the Chocolate Fireball, so I'd never seen the vinyl separated out, so that's why I picked it up. And released on Geffen in America in 1987. This is a really, really awesome record. So, all right, friends, that's all I got for you. Thanks a lot for watching, everyone. Take care.